Good morning, everybody. Daryl P. here, aka Artist in Recovery. And in this video, I would really like to engage in a debate or a conversation. I've come up with some similarities between two situations. And look, I'm not trying to troll anybody here. I'm not trying to inflame tensions. I'm not trying to insult anybody's memory. But there's just, my fear is that we're headed down a particular path. And it endangers everyone, the entire country, not just the left or the right. Okay, let me say this too. I am a recovering addict. It'll be 19 years, October 23rd of this year. 19 years. I've been completely 100% clean and sober. So let me say this. I do not favor dealers or smugglers or any of that. I despise them. I almost lost my life. It almost ruined my family. Took everything I owned. So I do not favor them and by any means. You'll see why I'm saying that in a second. What I want to talk about, like I said, and if you are a Charlie Kirk fan, I've never watched him, but I understand that he's supposedly a great interviewer or debater. So in that vein, please respond to my video along those lines. I'm going to say this. I've only reported or blocked comments, people on my YouTube channel 2 times in the last 6 years, only twice. But lately, I will not tolerate any more threatening or hateful comments. Let me just say that. So I advise against that. Okay, that being said, I see some similarities between the Venezuelan boat situation with the Trump administration. There's some things about that bother me. First of all, there's no way to prove anything now because all the evidence is blown to hell. There's suggestions now that the boat was actually headed back towards Venezuela, back into Venezuelan waters. There's a few things that bother me about the situation. From what I've understood, the business model, the mindset of smugglers like this, cartels, is usually to take big chances, big rewards. You know, they don't take half steps. They don't, when they go big, they go big. When they do anything, if you're going to do it big. They're not going to risk manpower and product and money and time on half steps, on half measures. All right. When you look at that boat, it's nowhere near full. Whatever's in it, and we'll never know what was in it. Okay. It does not look like any other smuggling boat I've ever seen. I'm not a professional. I'm not an expert, but I want to point that out. I mean, it's nowhere near. To me, it looked 2/3 empty, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If you're going that distance and taking that great a risk for such a little reward, it doesn't make any sense. The other thing is, I'm not familiar with speedboats or boats of this nature, but the distance here doesn't seem doable for the amount of gas or fuel this thing's going to use to go that distance, unless of course you were just carrying fuel and that's the only thing you were carrying in the boat. There's these things bother me. But here's the thing: we're not going to know the answer to that because everything was blown to hell now. Okay, now going back to Charlie Kirk, what we have here, we had a deranged individual. Whether he's left-leaning or right-leaning or whatever, a disgruntled, insane person. But in his mind, from what I would guess, is he pictured himself as judge, jury, and executioner, which is wrong, which is completely, it's dangerous. It invites chaos and mayhem. That's why our founding fathers made up innocent until proven guilty. When he was looking, whatever grudges or whatever he had against Charlie Kirk, that's why we have guilty or presumed innocent until proven guilty due freaking process. All right, our founding fathers, like I said, without that, you have chaos and mayhem. With the Trump administration's history, like just like with job numbers, or Trump saying that gas and inflation prices are down, and hey, I don't know if some of you believe what he's saying, but there's proof that he's pretty much lying about a good percentage of everything. That his ratings, the inflation, gas prices, food prices, all seem to be made up. So I don't trust anything coming out of the Trump administration saying that this was a boat, a smuggling boat. I can't trust them. History has proven that they are dishonest. When you don't, it's not like a situation with terrorists and in the Middle East. Like there's been missile strikes on reported heads of organizations. Then you have specific info that you've been getting for months or years about these specific individuals engaging in these specific acts, and then I'm not even comfortable with that kind of assassination, just like that. But at least you know who you're going after and why and what they've done to some degree. With this boat, it looks like it could have just been 11 fishermen or God knows who they were. I really get the impression that it was a speedboat leaving Venezuelan waters, and that was good enough. That's the feeling I get here. To me, in both cases, what you have is people taking the judgment into their own hands, being judge, jury, and executioner. And it invites chaos and mayhem, not just for the left, not just for the right, but for everybody. Even if you consider yourself, safe because you're on the right side, because you support the right person or the right group or the right wing. When this sets a precedent and it becomes normalized and accepted, when a government starts doing it, its citizens start following suit, being judge, jury, and executioner, taking law and justice into their own hands, meting out. And we're seeing that now with even some of the threats I'm getting from some of my videos. These people that are saying that Charlie Kirk was all about free speech are now ready to come hunt me down because I repeated Charlie Kirk's own words back to him, back to the situation, and that's enough to come find me. It's just the hypocrisy, the anger, the hatred is getting a little overwhelming at this point. I think we need to remember what the country was founded on. Innocent until proven guilty. Whether you like it or not, with all people, that's what works. It's not a perfect system, but it's our system. Democracy. Judgment. Let me know what you think. Have a good Saturday.